Do we need another assault weapons ban? Nope. Yeah, see, there you go. That's it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. That's the show. No, I'm just kidding. So after the last mass shooting thing went down, again there was more gun laws. They've always got them on the books, ready, written and ready to drop at the first sign of an emergency or an opportunity, right? Because emergency, opportunity, and politics are kind of the same thing. But anyhow, right? Nobody wants another mass shooting, so there's got to be other ways to do this. Because like every time, Columbine happened during the last assault weapons ban, so therefore the next one has to be a bigger, stricter, bigger, better ban, right? You got to get everything. You got to get them all. It's like Pokemon, you got to catch them all. So we got to get the full auto M3216 with 100 round capacity bullet clip magazines or something like that, right? With the shoulder thing that goes up. Want to get that thing, that shoulder thing that goes up, because of motherfucking barrel shrouds. You wouldn't want that. Just goddamn. So, how about this? We don't do that. I know you're thinking like, well, yeah, you already said that, but I have an idea, and we need people control. Okay, now of course nothing would have stopped that guy from going and getting that. I mean, I'm not talking red flag laws either, because those are, the nose under the camel's nose under the tent, if you will. They're just ripe for abuse. I think everybody sees that. God, I mean, you think about like all the people worried about black people getting the cops calling them over nothing, right? So then like neighbors see some, and like, you can twist this any way you want. And do you imagine that though? Like some Karen sees some black dude going to the range, loads stuff up, calls cops. Oh, or I don't fucking know. Like there's so many different ways it could be abused. Ex-wives. Oh God, right? Like I know some of y'all got some ex-wives out there, some crazy ex-girlfriends. Actually, one of my old co-workers, we ended up with the Secret Service at our office because one of my coworkers is he's passed away now, was a really big gun enthusiast, and no, not from guns, he had brain cancer, but anyhow, one of his ex-girlfriends got mad at him, or a chick he was dating got mad at him, and so and he was probably drunk and ran his mouth about something too, because he was like just kind of one of those people that like to get drunk and run his mouth. I don't know anything about that. But anyhow, so she basically called, and said, hey, this guy's going to kill the president when he comes into town. It was during the Obama administration. And like the next morning, apparently they were at his house. They collected all of his guns and went through them, and they come to our office. They took his computers. They interviewed us all. It was an ordeal, to say the least. They were very polite, really, really nice guys. The Secret Service, that is. So anyhow, like, right, and that's before there was any sort of talk about red flag laws and stuff like that. So you can only imagine how many other ways that could be abused, especially, we've had all these Zoom meetings and stuff where kids are going to Zoom school and they got like a gun in the background of that, and the cops get called on their house and the kid gets expelled from school. And there was some lady who, I don't know, she was I don't know, I should probably look this up before I talk about it, but I guess she got in trouble at a company meeting, a Zoom meeting, because she had the gun on the background. It's like, what the hell? Like, who cares? It's there. It's not in the actual meeting. It's on a TV screen. Like, people just get crazy when it comes to this topic, and they become completely irrational, and then they scream common sense when they've got no fucking common sense. And that's a term that I hate, right? Just passive aggressive for saying you're stupid if you don't agree with me. Well, sometimes you're stupid and your ideas are stupid and they're not common sense, they're just stupid. Or they completely lack any sort of experience, because common sense is, literally defined as knowledge acquired through experience and not traditional scholastic means or, educational avenues. So if everybody has different experiences, because we do, right? And this regionally, they vary wider and wider, and within demographics and cultures, right? Then there's going to be a huge divergence and variety of what common sense is. So when you say, well, we need some common sense gun laws, to prevent this. Well, it's not common sense. You're just trying to manipulate people into feeling dumb if they're not on the bandwagon. It's bandwagon politics. It's a shady, shady tactic, and people should be ashamed. Especially if you fell for it, you should be really ashamed if you think like, oh, it's just common sense. Yeah, you're a common idiot. So now, but here's an idea though, right? Like, so everybody's really worried about like the gun show loophole, which isn't really a gun show loophole. What they're talking about is face-to-face private cells, but that's too long for a soundbite for the TV, you know. So when you got the pundits on there, you know, flapping their gums, the talking heads, the bobbleheads on CN, what the fuck ever, and so a face-to-face sale is perfectly legal and almost. Uh-oh. No, it looked like I had some technical difficulties there. It kind of froze. A face-to-face sale is basically you sell a private citizen to private citizen, right? And so what they want to do is they want to create universal gun law or a universal background check that says, you know, if I sell to my neighbor, we have to take the gun to a gun shop and run it through an FFL, which currently right now, that's not really an option for most people to do that. You actually have to take it. Some gun shops just won't even bother with it, and some of them will do it if you ship the gun to them because they don't like people doing business outside their stores. So like that's one of the things that makes them kind of uncomfortable. So a lot of gun shops don't want to do it. It's an opportunity for them to make, you know, $35 or something to call in the you know, to the what is it, the ATF for the National Instant Criminal Background Check thing, right? Or so, but how about a better idea, right? Let's just put the ID, the eligible status, on the ID of the people, right? So you got somebody who's got a Class A misdemeanor for family abuse, domestic violence, can't buy a firearm, big bold letters across his ID, ineligible, right? Just like we do for minors, we put under 21 so that they can't buy alcohol. They go in the store. We don't need to have a universal background check to check your kid to see if they're under 21. It's on their fucking ID right there. Ineligible. You can't buy a gun. And so that'll save up all kinds of time at the gun shop because people won't be going to the gun shop to try to get it. And then when you go to sell a gun online to somebody, you just ask for an ID. And they whip out their ID and it says ineligible. You're like, shit, buddy. I'm not selling you a gun. You're ineligible. Get the fuck out of here before I call the cops. You know? And don't worry, you got a gun. So, problem solved. And you don't have to worry about all the avenues for abuse that the government will do. You know, because like in order to do that, right, you have to have a registry for guns. So how do they know what gun you sold to anybody unless they have a record of it? By going through an FFL. So you might say, well, there's no national registration. There is not. And what happens is when FFL, the Federal Firearms Licensee, changes names or addresses, right? They have to get a new logbook. And that logbook contains all the transactions ever done at that store, and the ATF takes possession of that. So there is a de facto registration that they could go back and look through. And if by now, with the government and all its bureaucratic genius, hasn't gone through and started scanning those into a searchable database, which don't get any ideas from me, I'd be really surprised if they hadn't done that. So doing that with all transactions heretofore for all private citizens, it would be a hell of a thing to accomplish. Be very, very lengthy, but without it, you have absolutely no way of actually telling who sold what gun to who. So this universal background check is actually just a farce to get a universal registration going, and that's why people actually oppose it. It's not because, you know, evil Republicans want to put guns in the hands of criminals and, you know, see puppies shot in mass kennel shootings, which, God damn it, if that happens now, I'm just fucking getting on SpaceX and going to Mars. If one of you motherfuckers goes out there and shoots up a goddamn puppy mill, I'm gonna lose my shit and I don't want to live on this planet anymore. You know, because there's like this whole thing that I experience, that I think we all experience it, right? You ever have like an idea And like you never really say it out loud, and then like maybe you do say it out loud, and then like bam, you see it everywhere, like it's on TV, it's happening. So then it makes you wonder, like, well, was it ever really my idea, or did I pick it up somewhere else, or how did it get out there so fast? Like, and you never really know. So like, hopefully, like the whole puppy mill mass shooting isn't a thing that's ever gonna happen, you know. But whatever, nothing surprised me. It's 2021, goddammit. And that brings me around to like the vaccine passport thing. Like I just saw something about that. A fucking vaccine passport. That's some scary shit to me. Just to like, so, I travel internationally. I've done it a lot. And so getting vaccinations to travel abroad is not some sort of big taboo to me. It doesn't bother me much. But damn, having to have a vaccine passport to go travel domestically to enter businesses and that's some dystopian shit. I mean, first of all, like all the cases are like seriously on decline, and maybe largely because of this vaccine, right? And also, herd immunity. I know we're not supposed to have that, but it's fucking here, people, because everybody knows somebody who's had it by now, and they're not spreading it as rapidly. And if you get the vaccine, like you can still spread it, you can still get it, you just don't get as sick. So that's kind of a bonus. But I also understand why people don't want to trust like the mRNA vaccines, because like we've never done it before. Yeah, there's a lot of research about them, and they show some promise for some cool shit in the future. But nobody knows what the long-term effects are of any of this. They say, well, we've been studying for 10 years. Yeah, you've been studying them for 10 years, right? And like scientists are wrong about a lot of shit. Like that's like 90% of what science is. It's a bunch of really big smarty pants being 90% wrong about 90% of the shit that they do. It's all about being wrong. And that's by design, because that's how you learn. That's how you learn, right? You're wrong. You have an idea. You check it out. Nope, that was wrong. Nope, that was wrong. Nope, that was wrong, until you get it right. And so they could be really wrong about this. They don't know what the long-term effects are going to be in people. We don't know what the long-term effects are going to be in people with COVID. It's only been a year. We got no idea. I mean, we have some idea because some people are showing some longer-term effects, but they're not seeing, 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road. They don't know that. So I can understand people being skeptical, and I think that people who want to go all in 100% one way or the other, doing in absolutes is kind of a fucked up thing that people probably shouldn't do. In most every case, right? When you think in absolutes, like you're just kind of jamming yourself into a corner where you got nowhere else to go with any sort of thinking. I mean, it's just not a way to go. So, anyhow, that's what I was thinking about today. There's some thoughts for y'all. Y'all have a good one. This has been the Unstoppa Bill podcast. I'm Bill Unstoppa, and see you later.